Hello fellow YouTubers, Bear Prepper here. Well, today I want to talk about the Harvest Right Freeze Dryer. I've been getting a lot of questions on it, so I thought I'd try to cover some things and some things I've noticed. First off, my daughter purchased my freeze dryer. I was not given one. There has only been one item that in my entire YouTube career I have accepted without paying for, and it was for my radio show, Preparing for Life Storms. I did a review for the Legacy chili. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And so it was an honest review, but it was free item. Not that I'm against it. I have no problem with people accepting items to do reviews. And I have been thinking about that lately. So I wanted to kind of go over the pros and cons that I have found so far on the Harvest Right freeze dryer. What you see here is the stuff that I've probably done over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. And so I've been kind of going crazy with it, enjoying the heck out of it, all the pretty colors and all the neat things that you can do. But there's been a lot of things I've learned since I got my Harvest Right freeze dryer. So let's go over the pros first. The biggest pro is that you can do raw meat. That is amazing. It is just really wonderful. And this is really light. It's hardly weighs anything, so it's great for your food storage. You do have to be careful. This is not staying in this. These are all going in Mylar, but I want to get enough done to put 1 Mylar bag. And so with experimenting with different things, I haven't quite gotten to where I have enough to get everything in Mylar. So first pro, it's very light. You can do raw meat. You can do things like avocados. I mean, that's been my biggest issue. I love avocados. Here in Texas, I've been trying to grow an avocado tree. Doesn't look very good, and there's no avocados, and I've had it for almost 4 years. So I love avocados. I want to be able to do them, and the freeze dryer does it wonderfully. Citrus. Dehydrated citrus, I don't care for. You can squeeze your juice and can it, which is, it works good, but it takes up a lot of space. Freeze drying is something that you can do. Haven't tested it yet to see how it rehydrates, but everything else seems to rehydrate wonderfully. And I'll have some videos coming up over the next few months with those kind of things on it. Your food keeps like dehydrated for 15 to 25 years. Bacon, love my bacon. As long as you get the grease out of it, it will last a very long time. I don't know how long yet. I'm going to be testing that to find out. But I've had some sitting in a jar on the counter for over a month, and it still tastes wonderful. And that's no O2 or anything, because I want to test. You can take your meals. I have stir fry right here, light as a feather, and I can just add water and eat. One of the great things about that is there's no aromas. So if you're cooking, you're just heating up the water, so you don't have aromas. If things were to go bad and people were hunting for you or for your food, then you won't have that aroma. So it's one of the great benefits of freeze dried. And I think that's the area I'm going to be heading most, is to do some meals up. Because when people start getting hungry, the smells are going to be what they're attracted to, and food smells go a long way, especially when you're hungry. Fire smells. So having enough for a specific time period to do propane so that you don't have those fire smells, and being able to just take a meal and put it in water. That's why they say one of the best ways to cook is Dutch oven, because you can contain all the odors into your pot and they don't waft out everywhere, but they forget that fire also leaves a smell, and people will be following that. My first line of defense is and always will be my dehydrator. My second line of defense is my pressure canner. And my third line of defense is my freeze dryer. Mainly because of cost. You can dehydrate with a screen in the sun. You can water that can with just a pot. Pressure canning is a little more expensive. Buying a dehydrator is a little more expensive. And yes, a freeze dryer is expensive. Most people can't afford it, but you could save up for it. One of the things that I do is I take all my change every year and loose bills and I put them in a jar. You could save that money up to purchase your freeze dryer. I actually do what's called the Christmas jar, and every year I give that away to somebody. And most of the times it's not somebody I even know. It's just a way to give back. But let's not talk about that here. So let's go over the cons. I do have some cons. All right. The first one is the cost. But if you look at what freeze dryers used to cost, ones that you could buy, they were over $30,000. So $3,800 is not bad. And usually there's a coupon. So, you're getting a halfway decent price for what you're able to do. You can do 2 number 10 cans worth of food in a batch. A batch takes anywhere from, what I found, 20 to 48 hours. I'm currently doing prickly pears. And I was trying to wait till the cycle finished so I could do this with the freeze dryer in the background. But it takes almost 48 hours to do because of the amount of moisture in it. Timing. Timing is difficult. You know that a freeze cycle is maximum 9 hours, and your final dry cycle can be 7 hours or less. With ice cream, you're going to go less. It's that in-between cycle that you don't know how long it's going to last. Like I said, I'm doing prickly pear. It's already been going for 12 hours in that middle cycle. So timing is an issue for me. I work, and so I either have to make sure that it finishes early in the morning, early enough for me to get everything out of there before I go to work, or finishes when I get home. The weekends are the only time I'm free to just run it whenever I can. And I try to run a really long batch on the weekend so that I can get other things done. Especially when I'm not sure when it's going to finish. It gives me some extra time. The oil issue. I hear a lot of negatives about the oil. And, when I first started, I had issues with the oil. You got to drain the tablespoon out every time to get the water out. And I'll be honest with you, in the beginning, when you're not used to being that hands-on with stuff, sure, it seems like an inconvenience, but it's really easy to drain a tablespoon of oil out. You could also purchase one of those filters where it'll filter the oil for you. I'm just not ready to do that for $300, $270 something. So you got to take a tablespoon of oil out every time. And then you put a tablespoon back in. Every 7 to 9 cycles, I think it is, you have to drain all the oil out and put fresh oil. So I'm still trying to figure out how to filter that oil so I can reuse it, because I'm not throwing that away. I've done a lot of batches, and there's a lot of money in that oil. I know it's not that much money, but I just don't want to throw it away. So I'm saving up my oil until I figure out the best way to filter it and be able to reuse it, because then it becomes even more cost effective. But like I said, once you get used to doing it, it's really not that big of a deal. Oil spurts. You hear a lot about oil spurting. Okay, first time I ran it, I checked it, I made sure that the tore something, that the values kept going down, and said, okay, so it's working. What I didn't notice was that while it was doing that, oil was spurting. So in a 1 foot circle around my pump, I had a ton of oil, and then everything stopped. My pump stopped and said, there's a problem. And that's when I noticed I had oil everywhere. My first time. Okay, so I said, all right, let's go back through the manual, let's figure out what I did wrong. Because I did something wrong. If you got oil spurting everywhere, you've got something wrong. My big issue was I couldn't tighten it tight enough. It said 1/4 to 1/2 a turn after hand tight. I could not do it. So I got someone else to tighten it for me. And that resolved that issue. Sometimes when the pump starts up, you get a spurt. Almost a mist of oil. So I took the recommendations of someone on the Harvest Right Facebook page and put a sock over it, a very thin one that was breathing, and I just kind of stuck it on and folded it and let it fall over. So it was just the thin layer, and I have had no issues since then. One time, I changed the oil. I did a power flush, which is so easy to do. But I did a power flush, and then I put new oil back in it, and I started it and went to work. I left the cap off the pump. Didn't hurt anything, but it didn't do anything in the freeze dryer either. So every time I've had an issue, I found it's something I've done. It's nothing that the freeze dryer has done to me. I know that some of the older models that are out there, they've had to do upgrades, and I'm sure there'll come a point in time where I have to do the flash stick and do an upgrade. Not a big deal. You see that? I almost fell over. I gotta quit moving, okay? Not drying things thoroughly. My problem. My chicken's feet. I did it for the standard cycle. They felt dry. I put them in Seal-A-Meal. And as you notice, that's what I do now. I put everything in a Seal-A-Meal first. Because once it goes in the Mylar, I can't tell if I have a problem. I'm new, and so what I think is warm and dry, because if it's cold, it's not dry. But what I think is warm and dry isn't always necessary. So anything with bones or a lot of fat, it's really hard to tell. And chicken's feet have bones. So my first batch, it was a small one at least, I had mold within 4 days. Okay, so I messed up. They were wet, so I had to throw those out. So the next time I did chicken feet, I was much more careful. And anything that was soft or feel even a teeny tiny bit cold, I put back in the freezer and I added it to another cycle. And then I put it in the Mylar, or the Seal-A-Meal, to see if they got molded, which they didn't. Now, if you have a Seal-A-Meal that you can't control the vacuum, then you're going to have issues putting things in Seal-A-Meals. The first time I put the chicken's feet in the Seal-A-Meal, I had left the toenails on. So what did the toenails do? Popped holes all over. So my daughter and I took pair of pliers and popped off all the toenails. And then when it got to the point where I thought it was going to start causing pressure, I hit my button and I was able to stop the vacuum and allow it to seal. So that worked really good for me. And so that's what I do now, is I put everything in Seal-A-Meal so that I can check it. Plus this allows me to rehydrate it for a video for you afterwards, before I Mylar it. I hear a lot of good things about Harvest Right from the people on the Harvest Right Facebook group. I hear a lot of negative things. And so I want to say to you, think about it. Don't accept everyone else's opinion. Some people are easier adapted to a new process and some aren't. In the beginning, I was not easily adapted and I was so frustrated till I realized it was all my doing. And once I started understanding that I had to change my thought process and do what it said, I've had absolutely no issues with my freeze dryer. I love it. I absolutely love it. For Christmas party, I shared the ice cream. Everybody really liked it. If I could give everyone a freeze dryer, oh man, would I ever. It is a worthy investment. I would make sure that I learned the other two techniques and got plenty of stores for that, because these are not needed items. They aren't a necessity. You know, having raw meat is not a necessity. Having an avocado is not a necessity. Having ice cream is not a necessity. These are my chicken hearts. Not a necessity. I could have canned these. So, bacon. I can can bacon. Yogurt, I can make it homemade. But this is so cool to have. Yogurt. Buttermilk powder. You can buy buttermilk powder. So there's other ways around it, so don't make it your number one item. But it is so worth the investment. And I hope this helps people. I hope you all don't see it as such a negative, because it's really not. I really love it, and no, I am not paid to say this. So I hope you enjoy the videos that are to come, and I hope you learn something, and please make sure that you understand that when I put up a freeze-dried video, it is not a dehydrated video. You cannot do this in the dehydrator. Okay? I know that's really confusing, but, and I'm going to try, I think, to put a picture of the freeze dryer, I guess, or something, to try to get people to understand, because that seems to be a big confusion. Well, I hope you found this video helpful and not too long. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and be safe and enjoy your time off, and come back to see me next time you're around. Blessings.